I always know what baby it's gonna be. I've got that. It's gonna be a girl. The patients died, and you think it's funny. Well, you said it was funny. Speaking of funny and death, I'm walking across a football pitch with my nephew, and then a man shouts, "Iwe Jonah Buyoya we son abafwa." That's how I found out that my dad had died. Nalela komuna mawe kimate mauna mane muse na yo lele mama yo lele mama yo lele mama. Well, the people are happy. The people are so happy that I've started the episode with singing. There were some people here who thought that I couldn't sing, but I'd like to thank the audience. Thanks. And you don't have to do that, guys. Thanks a lot, though, for uploading, and welcome to Zambia. What a day! Thank you so much, Zambia, for joining me on our podcast. We are running through. So let me explain why we didn't have the podcast yesterday. I asked my cameraman and editor to come through in the morning so we could record first thing in the morning, and he just didn't show up. It's like the worst work ethic I have ever. He just didn't show up, and he says that he didn't have electricity. Is he a human? Is he? Does he work with battery? It doesn't make sense. So that's why we didn't have the podcast. And anyone would wonder why he's still here, because technically he shouldn't. He should be replaced. Let's just be honest. George Mambwe. Let's be honest about this. Anywho, my name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. He's on trial now, so we see how he's going to perform. And that's on a serious note. Coming up on the podcast. Did I say my name? Okay. Just in case I didn't, my name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. Controversy over Mbereshi Mission Hospital deaths amid Powercuts. So the story here is that a couple of people died because there was no electricity at the hospital. I'll be giving you details in this story. A young woman has committed suicide 4 days after her boyfriend took his life. This story is just so tragic. There's also been a number of people dying from wildlife attacks, and elephants in the southern part of the country have become quite a menace. So we need to identify what the problem there is. Why is all of this going on? But let's get straight into it. Let's start off, first of all, by reports that have been circulating on social media claiming that Mbereshi Mission Hospital has recorded 3 deaths of patients who were on oxygen, allegedly due to Powercuts. In a video posted online, Mbereshi Ward Councillor Cynthia Makungu is seen in the hospital mortuary appealing to government to exempt the facility from load shedding. In response, Mwansabombwe Council Chairperson Terry Mwape has dismissed his reports as political stunt. Mr. Mwape has emphasized that the hospital has a power backup system and is not experiencing a shortage of oxygen. We have details in this report.
Residents of Mwansabombwe were left with many unanswered questions after a social media report claimed that 3 patients on oxygen had died due to a power outage. Questions arose about why the hospital experienced load shedding, despite the government's directive to exempt hospitals and some educational institutions. Mbereshi Ward Councillor made headlines by storming the hospital mortuary and presenting 3 bodies she alleged had died because of the power cuts.
Management ile edishana kwa ndo kwa tina fuel tabale iliko pa budget. So wale iliko pa budget fuel inono kwa nangwa bonche kwa pano kai fuel yapwa.
The local member of parliament supported the claim, accusing the government of deliberately implementing load shedding in the area.
When I reached the hospital, I asked the patients, I asked the people I found there, and I was told, yes, the hospital had been load shedded for months now. But after what transpired on that particular Saturday, as I speak to you up to now, today, from that very day, the hospital, they've stopped load shedding the hospital. So meaning at times, maybe government just does these things deliberately.
However, Mwansabombwe Council chairperson has denied these allegations and provided an update.
Mbereshi National Hospital has got 2 gensets, and according to what the people are saying, they died because of the oxygen. We have got an oxygen plant at the district hospital where we fill in the bottles. We fill in the oxygen bottles and send them to Mbereshi Hospital. So we have sufficient oxygen at Mbereshi Hospital, and we have 2 gensets to support when there's no power.
Despite having backup power systems, the administration has informed Diamond TV that it is working closely with ZESCO to ensure a reliable power supply to the facility. Kalombe Kapambwe, Diamond News.
So, yes, it is true that the hospital does have a power backup system. But it's also true that, there have been concerns with the hospital actually using the backup power system because it can't work if it doesn't have fuel. And, this is what the problem has been. But, I think that this is not a problem just unique to this hospital. That's what we were talking about last week with the ZESCO spokesperson. The issue is that Zambia's electricity system is actually very backwards, that it is not possible to isolate some of these critical installations, like hospitals, like police stations, like universities. They are not able to isolate them. So if a hospital is around a community, especially if it's connected to a line of a huge community, it means that leaving it on is going to have different members of the community having electricity, which basically defeats the purpose of load shedding. So that's kind of one of the things ZESCO is working on, to isolate some of these areas so that when they say that they are rationing power at a certain place, it doesn't include special critical installations like hospitals and similar facilities. So it's a very, very interesting story. And I think that it also highlights a bigger problem that we have. And my goodness, load shedding is one of the worst nightmares that Zambia has had to endure in recent history. And the implications are, let me paint a picture for you what the implications are of load shedding. People's connectivity is terrible. Even just internet connection has become incredibly difficult. Why? Because the telecoms, their towers use electricity. And because load shedding hours are so long, it doesn't make business sense for these telecoms to start using gensets for each one of these telecommunication towers. So you find that during the day, the situation is much better. Internet connectivity is better. Why? Because they have solar. And so when it's night time, they can't run a genset throughout the night. And you find yourself with poor connectivity. This is what's been happening. You should notice that every time power is restored, almost immediately, you're going to have good connectivity. You have a lot of these institutions that are run. Basically, almost every business now needs to find a backup power system. And unfortunately, a lot of these businesses are not able to afford, because the backup power system is expensive. Worse off if it is alternative power. So the backup power is when people buy the lithium batteries and the inverter and all of that, and it's pretty expensive. And then there's the alternative power, which is where you have to buy those things and a solar, setup. And, there's a lady that was talking about her farm, and she needs like $45,000 as a business for her to be able to get the alternative source of energy. There's a gentleman the other day, he was telling me he's into this business, and he was saying he's got a backup power system for a home, solar energy and batteries, and it can run for 27 hours. But guess how much it is? 90 grand. And I know a lot of people in Zambia don't even make 90,000 kwacha the whole year from their salaries. No, literally. I'm so sorry. I didn't. Okay, no. Like, I wasn't looking for examples. Like, look. Anyway, oh my goodness, I wasn't attacking you or anybody. I was just. I thought the podcast is supposed to be candid. You know. I said a lot of people don't make 90,000 a year. He said, like, giving himself as an example. But yeah, so that's the thing. And yeah, so that's what we need to look at. Let me move on and talk about this very sad story. So it's a 21-year-old lady of Choshi village in Chifunkula's chiefdom. She committed suicide 4 days after her boyfriend, who was about to pay her lobola, which is bride price, also committed suicide. Grace Mpundo ended her life on Friday by drinking a poisonous substance. We have details in this report by Cecilia Kayamporokos.
They could not have imagined that the shy and quiet daughter of the family was ever capable of committing suicide. 21-year-old Grace Mpundo on Friday, 29th August 2024, committed suicide by drinking a poisonous substance. This incident happened in Choshi village, and Diamond News in Chinsali has visited the funeral house. She was a very quiet child. She hardly said much to anyone. Her boyfriend died just about the time when he was about to bring her bride price. When he died, throughout the funeral, for 4 days she never ate anything. After the funeral, she continued segregating herself until the fateful day when she drank a poison. A neighbor who was among the first respondents described the scene of the ordeal. When I came here, she was being rushed to the hospital, vomiting and purging, and crying due to a lot of pain. When I remained, I started cleaning the house after hearing of her passing. And Chinsadi ward councillor is touched by the loss of 2 youthful lives in his ward in a space of less than 1 week. When I heard about the passing of the young man, I was very disturbed. Worse, after I heard of another death, that is of the young girl we're talking about today. In a space of 2 months, I think I've lost 3 youths. And as the area ward councillor, I'm very disturbed about this news. I'm now urging parents to take time to speak to their children, especially when they exhibit signs of depression. According to a statement from police, the deceased died before reaching the hospital, and preliminary investigations suspect no foul play. Cecilia Kayamporokos, Diamond News, Chinsali, Mchinga Province.
Okay, this is like really, really tragic, and I can kind of I can kind of imagine, because when certain things happen, right, they're inexplicable, especially when it comes to relationship matters of the heart. Like, things that happen in here are really complex, and that's the reason why it is very difficult to deal with them. Even when people go to the hospital or mental clinic, they really just treat the symptoms of what it looks like the person is experiencing, because you can really never know. You can't open someone's head and fix a mental problem. And that's why I would never judge somebody that commits suicide, because you know how some people will break up and not be sad, or be sad for 2 days, and then they're fine and they're talking to somebody else. And then, yeah, so there's also other people who will deal with things differently. For example, there are people with whom you can say hurtful things and they won't keep them. But there are other people, you will say hurtful things to them and it's going to stick. But there's also, as a person, there's different things that get you upset. Some of the things that will get you upset are not things that will get another person upset. So we are very different in our design. And yeah. Well, you can't really pin it down. I can imagine it's incredibly sad losing someone you love, and then you lose someone you love you were about to marry, and they commit suicide, and then and some of these decisions are made in a split second. So sometimes it must be really painful for somebody to reach a point where they kind of choose that they don't want to live anymore. And I know a lot of people that have thought about it. And, some people say it takes a lot of bravery to actually go through with it. But very sad story. Very, very sad story. Yeah. Suicide is not illegal in Zambia. There are countries where suicide is illegal. And so, what it means, like Malawi, for example. So what it means is if you attempt suicide in Malawi and survive, then you're going to go to jail. That's what used to happen in Zambia, but not anymore. It's no longer criminalized. Even aiding suicide is not criminal in Zambia. Yeah, anyway. In eastern Zambia, a growing concern is pitting humans against wildlife. Human-animal conflict has resulted in loss of life, crop damage, and economic hardship for communities. The Ministry of Tourism, through the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, has brought together key stakeholders in Chipata to address these challenges and find solutions. Samuel Kwabe was at the Indaba in Chipata and explores more on this story. Let's take a look at this. I love how this is written.
Like in many other parts of Zambia, human-animal conflict is a pressing issue in eastern Zambia, with elephants and lions posing more threat to human life. For the Mambwe community feelings, the new law protects animals more than humans.
A minister niona kuti patile mtihano mumalemekeza kwambiri nyama baba na muntu. Why I say so? Mukapeze kuti lero so baba ya njovu msapeze kuti mamoto kwa usiku na usiku muntu saza gona mnyumba sakoni na kuna mseke kupata. But ngati njovu ya baya muntu muzaombera tilebe fyowero.
In the recent past, elephants from Kasungu National Park in Malawi have terrorized communities in Chipangali, Lumezi and Lundazi. Chiefs have questions.
Because they were expecting you yesterday to meet them.
It is for this reason community leaders, government officials, and wildlife experts are meeting in Chipata City to tackle these challenges head-on and find solutions.
With human-wildlife conflict and what can be done, we've had those submissions. I think that is something administratively we should be able to deal with our colleagues.
Talking about the issues of man-animal conflict, which is undermining food security, and there are people losing their lives. So these are, I feel, issues which must be taken very, very seriously.
Traditional leaders like Chief Nesim Solo and Kambombo want politics detached from enforcement and also ensure tour operators pay back to the community through development.
If you can come to Kambombo, we can't show you that this facility came from Safari, and the community there does not see any benefit of having Safari operator in our chiefdom.
When we are making decisions, let's make decisions that take into consideration the lives of the people in those areas. How do we talk about a green economy when on one hand we are using politics to railroad communities?
Rodin Sikumba is Minister of Tourism and hopes for a better future through working together.
The Zambia Wildlife and Protected Areas Bill. And we want you, Your Royal Highnesses, to be able to now become the custodians. You need to own this particular piece of legislation. Why do I say so? Because you have jurisdiction in those areas.
Samo Sylvester Kwawe, Diamond News, Eastern Zambia.
So a lot of people have actually died, and this is eastern Zambia, but a lot of people have died even in southern province And I'm not expert. I have not done any research on this. I'm just thinking out loud. And I don't want anybody to quote me because I'm just thinking out loud on this. Does it mean maybe the elephant population is growing? Or the basic principles of it is, though, that if they're getting closer to the people, it's either the people are setting up in the elephant corridor because elephants are creatures of habit. So when people set up in their area, they kind of have to create a different corridor, or they'll maintain the same one. And so I'm wondering if this is what's happening because human beings have now been settling in these areas, and that's the possibility. We've even set up a hotel in an elephant corridor before. And so you may be wondering if the animals are responding to us going into their habitat, because this is happening a lot lately, and yet people have been living with the elephants in Livingstone for quite a while. But also, if the population is growing, like is the population of elephants growing? I know that in the recent past we had a huge population of elephants dying, that it became a concern. But then I traveled to the lower Zambezi in 2021. I think that was 2021. And when I got there, I found that they had restored a lot of elephants. Well, not restored, but like restored the population. They were protecting them, and they were breeding a lot. It's like what's happening with the hippos. That there's so many of the hippos in Zambia. So like I'm wondering, is that what the case is? I'd really like to find out what the details are of this story, and we'll definitely be looking forward to giving you more information on this. Yeah. Maybe I should call someone. Can you get my phone? It's on the thing. I could call Samuel and get details on it. Because I want to use this feature. Yeah. Hi, Samuel. How are you doing?
Yes, boss. How are you?
Good. So, Samuel, I was taking a look at
Yes.
your story, and the elephants and the um, conflict with people, and I was wondering, you were part of the whole thing, and is it happening because the population of elephants has increased? Why is it happening? Or people are setting up in the elephant corridor? Did you establish why this is happening?
Yeah. So, for the other region, which I'm talking about, like the Kasungu National Park and the Kasungu is in Malawi, and the Lukusuzi is in Zambia. So this was like one area where animals would migrate from Malawi to Zambia, Zambia to Malawi. So there were no people some time back. But due to people, the population growing, the traditional leaders started giving out land in those areas. And then in the Zambian side, the Lukusuzi National Park, all the animals like finished. Okay, the elephants, they were killed, the lions, everything. So like in the Lukusuzi National Park, you are lucky if you would find an animal there. If you find one, maybe it's a kudu or whatever, these animals which
That's
are
on the
not
that's on the
even
Zambian side.
scared.
That's on the Zambian
Then
side.
in that was the same in the Kasungu National Park. So in the Kasungu National Park, you would go maybe in Malawi deep. That's when you would find some animals. But what happened now is that in Kasungu National Park, the Malawian government did restocking. They restocked elephants in there, in Malawi. But in the Zambian side, they've not done anything about it. So now, those animals which were restocked in Kasungu National Park, they are moving now from Malawian side, coming to Zambian side to Kasungu. And that's where now the conflict has started, because the chiefs now gave out land in those corridors of the animals where they used to migrate from Malawi to Zambia.
What are they going to do about it?
So now that's when they have agreed with the traditional leaders that those people who like really settled, who were given land in the real life corridor where the animals used to pass, they need to relocate them and give them to other side so that they can do a solar wire fence in those corridors so that animals can ably move from Kasungu to to Lukusuzi National Park without having challenges of them fighting with the animals. That's what they've agreed, because they can't decommission the Lukusuzi and the Kasungu, because it was an agreement which was made to be a transboundary park back in 2015. So that agreement is an international agreement. So it can't be like Zambia cannot move out of it. It's like a treaty. They can't move out of it because they assented to it. So they've said they were going to do a wire fence. After they've done a wire fence, that's when now they will allow animals smoothly moving without fighting with the people.
I hear you, Samuel. Thank you for giving me those details. This is for the podcast, by the way. So you're famous.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye. Oh man, that went epic. He's given us all the detail. Oh, what a beautiful feature. Let's move on. Now, Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Collins Nzovu has declared the water crisis in Mufulira on the Copperbelt as an emergency that need effective and immediate interventions. He was inspecting these water projects, and after he was done with that, he noted that most households in the district have had no water for some time, a situation he describes as unfortunate. The minister has directed the local water utility company, Mulonga Water and Sanitation, to quicken the completion of its rehabilitation works that have caused the shortage of water in Mufulira. Let's take a look at this.
The water crisis in Mufulira district on the Copperbelt province has recently been making headlines. The crisis is as a result of the ongoing rehabilitation works by the local water utility company Mulonga Water and Sanitation. Mufulira District Commissioner Saboy Kabika has today confirmed to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Collins Nzovu, that the challenge of water in the district has worsened.
We are not doing well as far as water and sanitation is concerned. The whole district. Right now in the morning when you wake up, you'll find that everybody is nearly with a bucket looking for water. We have areas in Mufulira where people can stay even for a week without seeing a drop of water coming from our taps.
Mr. Nzovu, who was in Mufulira today to inspect some water projects being undertaken by Mulonga Water and Sanitation Company, has assured Mufulira residents that immediate measures will be put in place to eradicate the water crisis in the district.
They made presentations that Mufulira is quite bad as far as water and sanitation services are concerned. I think as confirmed this morning by the DC. We are here at DC to obviously see how we can quicken the project which we are going to visit to ensure that we improve capacity in water supply, in provision of sanitation services. For us as a quick response, we need to talk to the contractor to speed up the project. Because once we have this project completed, we'll have both water and sanitation facility provision improved.
Meanwhile, Mulonga Water and Sanitation Company Managing Director Ndila Hamalambo says the company is working tirelessly in ensuring that the water crisis in Mufulira is eradicated. Rogan Labika, Damon News, Mufulira, Copperbelt Province.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. And as you have seen, it's just Zambia. What a day.